Aliens, known as mimics, have invaded Earth and are overpowering humans. In response, global armies unite to fight back and create advanced robotic suits called Angel of Verdun. These suits helped humans win a past battle at Verdun. Now, with their help, the armies plan a massive attack named Operation Downfall. We meet Major Cage, a public affairs officer, who is ordered by a colonel in London to join the battle. Cage refuses, claiming he's a U.S. officer and not a soldier, but the colonel doesn't listen. When Cage tries to leave, he's knocked unconscious with an electric shock. He wakes up at a military base where soldiers are preparing for battle. An officer informs him that he's been labeled a deserter and liar, so no one listens when Cage insists he's not a soldier. He's assigned to a squad and warned not to escape. The next morning, everyone suits up in advanced armor, but Cage, with no training, doesn't know how to operate his suit. When they're dropped into battle, mimics attack mid-air, chaos erupts, and Cage's teammates are killed. A mimic charges at Cage, but his weapon safety finally unlocks just in time to shoot and kill it. Relieved, Cage suddenly faces a much larger, different-looking mimic. As it attacks, he grabs a grenade and kills it in a blast, dying in the process. But suddenly he wakes up at the same point as before, the officer kicking him awake. Confused, Cage thinks it was a dream, but everything starts repeating exactly like before. Once again, they go to battle, and the same people die the same way. Cage dies again and wakes up at the same point. He tries to explain the situation, but no one believes him. He's forced into the battle again. This time, knowing what's coming, he tries to save his teammates. Though he manages to help some, there are too many mimics, and he dies once again. Cage keeps returning to the same battle every day. He learns the patterns, memorizing exactly where enemies appear and when each soldier dies. During one of these loops, he notices a legendary warrior on the battlefield, Sergeant Rita, famously known as the Angel of Verdun. She played a major role in humanity's only victory against the mimics during the Battle of Verdun, where she killed countless aliens. Cage sees her die every time, but now that he knows what's coming, he tries to protect her by eliminating threats before they appear. This surprises Rita, who realizes something is unusual about him. Right before dying, she tells him, "Find me when you wake up." Cage dies once again and wakes up in the same place, kicked awake by the same officer. Remembering Rita's words, he tries multiple times to reach her, and though he fails and dies several times, he eventually succeeds. When he finally finds her, she doesn't recognize him. But as soon as he repeats her own words from the battlefield, she's stunned and believes him. Rita takes Cage to a scientist who has studied the mimics extensively. Cage, confused, demands to know what's happening to him. The scientist explains that mimics aren't separate creatures. They are all part of one central being. Among them, some are special and are known as alphas, rare creatures that appear once in every 60,000 mimics. And above all, there's one core mind controlling them all, the Omega. The Omega has the power to reset time. Whenever an alpha dies, the Omega senses the loss and restarts the day, allowing the mimics to change their strategy and avoid that outcome. When Cage killed an alpha and its blood soaked him, that power transferred to him. His brain became linked to the Omega, so now every time he dies, the Omega thinks an alpha has died and resets the day. Cage asks how they know all this. Rita reveals that she used to have the same ability. She once killed an alpha too, and for a while, she also relived the same day over and over. She explains that their victory at Verdun wasn't real. The Omega allowed humans to win so they would launch Operation Downfall, falling into a trap. The truth is, Operation Downfall won't wipe out the mimics. It will destroy humanity. The aliens know the future every time because the Omega resets time whenever one of its alphas is killed. Just like Cage now predicts deaths and events in battle, the mimics do the same, ensuring they can always prepare and counterattack. Cage asks Rita what he should do next. She explains that eventually, he'll start having visions, glimpses, of the Omega. Once he sees its location in a vision, he must take her there, and she'll destroy it. But until those visions come, he has to keep dying every day. Cage points out that even if he does see the Omega's location, he still can't get Rita out of the battlefield. The area is swarming with mimics, and he has no combat training at all. Rita tells him not to worry. She'll train him. Since no soldier or officer is allowed to leave the base freely, they must escape from the battlefield itself. So Rita begins training Cage. He performs poorly and ends up badly injured. When he tries to act tough, saying he's fine, Rita warns him if he ever gets wounded and receives a blood transfusion, he'll lose his power. The link to the Omega would break, and he'd no longer reset the day upon death. That's exactly what happened to her. She was injured, and when she woke up with someone else's blood, her ability was gone. During training, Cage often gets injured, and each time, Rita kills him to force a reset. Then one day, Cage finally experiences a vision. He sees the Omega's location. Now they have what they need, except for one big challenge. They must escape the battlefield alive. They try countless times, but Rita keeps dying, and each time Cage resets the day. After spending so many months together, Cage begins to fall in love with her, but Rita, without memories of the past loops, remains distant. To her, every day is the first day. One day their vehicle runs out of fuel, and the power in their combat suits dies too. They reach a small farmhouse and find a helicopter inside, but the keys are missing. Inside, Cage asks Rita to rest, offering to make her some coffee while he looks for the keys. As he prepares the coffee and adds 1 packet of sugar, he remarks, "No, you take 2 sugars." Rita realizes they've been here before, many times. She guesses Cage already has the keys, and when he admits it and hands them over, she gets frustrated. She grabs the keys and heads to the helicopter. Cage warns her that mimics are nearby. The moment she starts the chopper, they'll attack. She insists she's a soldier and doesn't back down. "And why should it matter to you if I die?" she asks bitterly. Cage replies, "I wish I didn't know you." As soon as she starts the helicopter, a mimic attacks. Rita is mortally wounded. Before dying, she tells him, "My middle name is Rose." Earlier in their journey, Cage had asked her this, but she hadn't told him. Right after, another mimic appears and kills Cage. The day resets once again. But now, having seen Rita die so many times, Cage becomes overwhelmed with emotion. He decides to go alone. This time, he escapes the battlefield and flies the helicopter to the location he saw in his vision. But when he gets there, he realizes it was a trap. The Omega isn't there, only an Alpha is. The Alpha doesn't try to kill him. Instead, it tries to wound him and spill his blood. The mimics now know Cage has the same reset power as an Alpha, and they want to take it from him. But before they can succeed, Cage drowns himself in a nearby water body, forcing a reset before they steal his ability. After waking up, he rushes to Rita and the scientist, telling them everything. The vision was a setup. The mimics were trying to drain his blood and strip him of his power. They now face a problem. How will they find the real location of the Omega? That's when the scientist reveals that he once built a device. If they could attach it to an Alpha's body, they could tap into its mind, which is directly connected to the Omega, and learn the Omega's exact location. But there's a problem. They don't have access to an Alpha. Rita says, "We already have Cage, because he is also an Alpha." But their biggest problem is that the device is with the same colonel who forcibly sent Cage there in the first place. Rita and Cage manage to sneak into the colonel's office. The colonel is shocked to see Cage alive. They explain everything, how Cage has the power to reset the day. The colonel doesn't believe them at first, but somehow they manage to get the device from him. As they leave, the colonel orders all the soldiers to surround them. Somehow, Rita and Cage escape in a vehicle. While driving, Rita installs the device into Cage's body. Now Cage starts having visions again, and they discover the location of the Omega. Suddenly, their vehicle crashes. Cage is injured and wakes up in a hospital, but he has been given a blood transfusion. This means his powers are gone. Rita arrives there, ready to kill Cage, but Cage tells her, "My powers are gone. I can no longer reset the day." The two of them escape the hospital and go to meet Cage's old comrades, the soldiers he always fought alongside. Cage tries to convince them of the truth and tells them everything, but they don't believe him either. Then Sergeant Rita appears. She is the role model for all the soldiers. Seeing her, they finally agree to support Cage and Rita. Together, they all move toward the Omega's location, but they face a massive army of mimics who fire at them relentlessly. All the soldiers are killed except for 2, Cage and Rita. They enter the Omega's lair and see an Alpha guarding it. The Omega itself is underwater. Cage tells Rita, "I will run toward the Alpha. When it comes after me, you jump into the water and destroy the Omega." Rita replies, "You're injured. You won't be able to run." Her leg is wounded, so she decides to run instead. Before leaving, she tells Cage, "You are a good person. I wish I had gotten to know you better." Then she runs off. The Alpha chases Rita. At the same time, Cage moves toward the water where the Omega is. Suddenly, Cage hears a loud noise. He realizes the Alpha has killed Rita. Cage jumps into the water. The Omega is deep underwater. The Alpha senses someone moving toward the Omega and follows. Before Cage can reach the Omega, the Alpha attacks him. But before dying, Cage removes the detonators from his bomb belt and drops the bomb down toward the Omega. The bomb explodes with a massive blast, killing the Alpha too. Cage's body floats in the Omega's blood, and then his eyes open. He's reset 2 days back, to the time when he was about to meet the Colonel. On the news, there is a report of a blast in Paris. After that, the mimics start dying on their own. It turns out the blast was caused by Cage and Rita together, and because of this, the aliens are defeated. The mimics begin dying naturally. Cage then goes back to the place where the Colonel had forced him to go. This time he arrives as an officer because the war is over, and no one is forcing him into anything. He finds all his fellow soldiers safe and well. Afterwards, he goes to the place where he used to meet Rita. She sees him and acts rudely, just like the first time they met, because she has no memory of the past. But a smile appears on Cage's lips because Rita is fine and he loves her. And with that, the story ends.